How is everyone doing? Hey Marinas, how are you doing? Hope you're well. Hey Jimmy, good afternoon. We had the Bank of Canada interest rate decision from last night. Hope you all traded that well. And for today, we have the ECB, European Central Bank, with the interest rate decision, with their interest rate decision, and we'll be talking about that through this session. So if you have any comments, any views, do share that, let me know. Hey Neymar, good morning. Thanks for that, Jumarinas. Hey Jokes, good morning. All right, if you're new to the session, do drop a message and say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from. And for all the regulars, a big welcome back. Thank you again for joining me on this daily market analysis. Good to have you all with me. If you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know. Hey Matt, hope you're well. And if you can help me out massively, do remember to click that like and subscribe button. That thumbs up that you click should get us a bit more people onto the stream and also onto the Discord channel. The link is up there for you to join. I think most of you have already. But when you do join the Discord channel, please remember to verify your account or your access as well to get all the other channels unlocked for your discussions. Okay? And hey Augusto, good afternoon. How are you doing? All right, a quick disclaimer first. Any information contained on this webinar should not be construed as advice and is presented as educational material only. The contents of this webinar are not intended to be a recommendation to trade a financial product, so please remember that your objectives, financial situation and needs has not been considered, and you should consider its appropriateness to your circumstances. Take that away. Now, what has happened since the last time we spoke? We did have a bit of a surprise. Well, not a surprise actually. Pretty much anticipated this, but not to that extent. Right? We had the US ADP non-farm employment change release yesterday, last night at 8:15 p.m. GMT +8. It was a 192, got revised slightly downwards to 188k, expected 173. I thought it was going to be about a 160, but it was a bit lower than expected at a 152k being released for the ADP non-farm employment change. And because of this number at 152k, what we saw on the dollar index, I'll zoom in a bit. All right, we say good range, looking for it to break 104.40 for further upside. It didn't break, it sat there, and then like we also had the alternate scenario that it might break down at 8, it pushed to the downside. Right, it pushed down from 104.30 down to at 9 o'clock 104.14 before pushing back up again and then testing the support level early this morning, now pushing back up. All right, so we saw that drop on the dollar index. Hang on, let me put that back in again. I was working on something, so I kept removing the watermark. Okay, we had this on the dollar index from 104.30 down to 104.14 because of the ADP non-farm employment change number being released at 152k. Following on from that, at 9:45 p.m. GMT +8 again, we had the Bank of Canada, the BOC, with their overnight rates, taking interest rates down from a 5% to a 4.75%, a 25 basis point rate cut. I have to get used to saying that now. We've been talking about rate hike scenario, right? We've been talking about rate hike, I'll tell you for how long, when that loads, all right? We've been talking about it since March 2022, right? Since March 2022, where the BOC hiked rates from 0.25 to 0.5%. We've seen relatively consistent hikes all the way up to 5% in July last year, and it set at 5%, and now finally in June 2024 we've seen the BOC cut rates. That's why I say I have to get used to saying a rate cut decision of 25 basis point, taking it from 5 to 4.75. With this news here, what we saw on the USCAD was pretty much as we expected, right? We had that bullish pennant or bullish flag, and then if I extend that, right, it broke out to the upside. It did not go the full 90 pips to the upside that I was looking for, right? It came up to that previous swing high. So this was a trade that I got into. I had my order there as we planned at 1.3690, right? I was looking for 90 pips to the upside. It shot up on release of the news. It continued higher, came to this point. I thought, great, I'll show you the Bollinger as well. Great, it was outside of the Bollinger, but maybe the news could push it up. The moment it started pushing back down, right, when it got to that trend line, I closed out my trade at about 30 pips there. I think 30 pips or 35 pips at that trend line or around that trend line, as I thought that trend line, which has been there since the 1st of May, tested and rejected on the 24th of May, tested and rejected on the 30th of May, and now tested and rejected on the 5th of June. That's why I got out of my trade at that point. Okay, so I'll put that back for now. We'll delete that later. And also, I'll take that away, that squiggly line. And also what you'll notice is that I've changed my Bollinger Band, right? It still says BB right at the top, but I've changed my Bollinger Band. You'll notice that these little dots, these little yellow dots on my Bollinger Bands, I've added that in. I've added that in to make it a bit clearer, right? To make it a bit clearer that it is outside. So whenever the candle goes outside of the Bollinger Band, you get a little dot appearing telling you or telling me that it's likely to be too late to enter. We could see a retrace, or some occasions you'll continue down, but then it continue down before retracing. So I am still building out little indicators, little tools to make trading even easier than what we anticipated for it to be. So this is one of them, the Bollinger Band, where it presents that little dot that appears when the price is outside of the Bollinger Band. Okay, so take that away for now, and that was the trade to the upside on the USCAD. Why is it not showing? On the USCAD to the upside. Anyone else traded the BOC rate decision? Do let me know. Anyone else traded that? Made any profits on that? Let me know. I don't think you would be in a position, based on the way price move, I don't think you'd be in a position to lose on this trade. It was only about how much you would have closed out at. Jimmy said just missed my TP by 4 pips. Came back down, was asleep. Did you close out on it already, or what's happening on your trade right now? Neymar got 30 pips on it, was expecting more. Yeah, you know, I was hoping for that 90 pips to the upside. I was a little bit greedy. I could have closed out at 50, but I thought as it pushed up, we could see further upside, but it hit that swing high, came back down, stayed below the trend line, and you know, at least I got out at that point rather than at a loss at this point. I hit your stop loss there, Jimmy. Okay. Was it on this same setup? So it would have came back down and hit your stop loss there at 20 pips. While I'm doing that, hey Christina, good morning, how are you doing? Hey Nav, good morning. Hey Stefan. It's okay, Jimmy. We have the ECB, we have the Euro tonight. I'm not going to get greedy, but we have the euro tonight. We'll look forward to that and look for some possible trade setups for the ECB. Okay, so that's what has happened since the last time we spoke. At 10 p.m. we had the ISM services PMI for the US. It went from a 49.4, expected 51, came out at a 53.8. So in addition to the Canadian dollar getting weaker, pushing the dollar up, at 10 o'clock we saw the news of the data release of services PMI going from a contractionary phase to an expansionary phase. And that's also why we saw at 10 o'clock the dollar index pushed to the upside, right? But what you'll notice is we took that away. Is this, let me put it back in for you guys. Right, it came up to, for the long-term view, the long-term top all-time high to the all-time low, well, for this period, all-time high and all-time low for this period, we saw the dollar index test that 38.2 level before tracking back down. And for the shorter term high, all-time high, and shorter term all-time low, we saw it test that 61.8 area before turning back down. Right, so although it shot up, it was based on Canadian weakness and also some ISM services PMI numbers caused it to push to the upside, tested that confluence of 38.2 and 61.8 before pushing back down again. Okay, with that, what do we have for today? A whole bunch of news which I'm not focused on. I can tell you that I've been working on the indicators, I've been working on other stuff. I haven't looked at the markets at all for today because I am waiting for this news at 8:15 p.m. GMT plus 8, where the ECB, the European Central Bank, is due to release its interest rate decision, and this time, like we were saying for the BOC, the ECB has been hiking rates since the July 2022, right? 2022, the hike rates, and then now finally in June 24, they are looking to cut rates from 4.5 down to 4.25, a 25 basis point rate cut expected. We had been talking about this, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, where we were thinking that maybe it's a little bit too early for the ECB to cut rates, but with market analysts expecting a rate cut, we're going to price it in. We're going to price in a rate cut scenario. Quite likely it will happen, but if it doesn't happen, then we're going to see some push back up, but we're pricing it in for a rate cut scenario. Okay, so I'm looking for that at an 8:15 news together with the monetary policy statement. I'm not bothered about the US unemployment claims at 8:30 because that's a weekly number, not anticipating a big change here. And then at 8:45, 30 minutes after the rate decision, we're going to get an ECB press conference where President Lagarde, she's going to be explaining about if they do cut rates, right? If they do cut rates, she's going to be explaining about how they came to that rate cut decision, the factors and decisions that led to that rate cut decision, taking questions from the press, and that's probably going to bring about more volatility because I think that the press will possibly ask, or most likely ask, now that you've cut rates, are you going to keep cutting rates? Right? And the answer is most likely going to be, oh, it's going to be data dependent. This is the first rate cut, but we'll forward plan or forward guide onto the next rate cut decision. So the question is always going to be, or likely to be, now you've cut rates, is it going to keep going on? If it's not going to keep going on, what's the timeline on further rate cuts? And that's going to bring about, I feel, even more volatility than that one number being released at 4.25%. Right? I do a lot more scalping on my trades during a press conference more than a data release, right? And so what I tend to do is on a data release at 4.5 to 4.25, I can get into a trade before that just to try and catch the move. Then with between 8:15 to 8:45, look to close out the trade. In between, during the press conference, it lasts for about an hour and a half. I'll be looking to scalp it to whichever direction it's trending towards. And then after the press conference, I'm done for the day. All right, I'm not, unless it continues moving, but most likely I'm done for the day or have built up enough margin, profit margin to enter a trade and let it run for the rest of the night. So that's how I would approach this news decision for the ECB later tonight. Now, I've rambled on for a good couple of minutes. Are you looking, well, how many of you will be trading the ECB rates decision? Do let me know, because tomorrow we also do have the non-farm employment change numbers to come for the US. Okay, so with all that said, if you are going to be trading the ECB rate decision, put it into the chat and let me know. Now with that, then looking at the charts, I am let me take that away for now, and that. All right, I'm happy to see that the dollar push down, Neymar for sure, Jimmy for sure. All right, I'm happy to see that the dollar push down overnight, well, early this morning, and then found that support that we've been talking about. 61.8 is just below that 104 level. It's been finding this support here. I would move, I'll keep that there. I'll take this away. Okay, I'll keep that there tight and do that. All right, I like that it's found the support there, and it looks like, right, if the ECB cuts rates, then we're going to see weakness on the euro, right? If we see weakness on the euro being a bigger, the majority proportion of the dollar index, weakness on the euro is going to push the dollar index to the upside, right? It's going to push the dollar index to the upside. So I would again still say that we're looking for the dollar index to push to the upside. I don't think you'll get to 105, but what needs to happen first is that, let me see, okay, there we go, is that today being the 6th of June, 6/6, right, we're looking for the dollar index between now at 3 my time to 8 with the news release, so that's a good 5 hours. I'm looking for this to slowly creep to the upside, right, to get just along that 104.45 level. I'm looking for it to push up to this point. Then on the news, we'll look for it to break above 104.45 to push to the upside. The first hesitation level would be around 104.75, and then beyond that we'll see 105. We could see 105. Okay, so with that, now I'm looking at this. I would say firstly ECB decision. I know it's in dollar index, but I'm putting it there because it's going to affect the dollar index quite significantly. Pending, right? We're looking for dollar index to look for DXY to climb to 104.45 before ECB decision. Okay, take that away. Right, I would say I'll look for the dollar index to climb to 104.45 before the ECB decision, which is right there. And then after that, if it breaks 104.45, we could trade up to 104.75 to 105. There we go. Right, so we're looking for this to push up towards the 104.45 level before the ECB decision. Look for it to break 104.45 to push up towards 75 and possibly even 105. That's what I'm looking for. Dollar index strength, pretty much strong, good, strong, consistent move on the dollar index to the upside. Now, looking at the charts, that would actually play out quite nicely. This is the Kiwi. We were talking about this breaking the trend line and that 23.6 level to the downside. It came so close, didn't trigger, so we take that away. Continued pushing up towards that point, towards the resistance level. We were also looking for it to test and reject that resistance back down again. It could be that, but I feel that that wasn't a strong enough test. Right, I was looking for it to break that resistance and turn down. So you could have entered the Kiwi to the downside, but I typically wanted to break that trend line first. So what I'm looking at here would be for it to break this point. Okay, here we go. Take that away. No, actually I'll keep that there. I would actually catch this point instead. All right, there we go. So what I'm looking at here is it will sit there. I feel that, okay, I want to say that it's going to go lower, but I feel that that's a little bit too near. Right, that's a little bit too near to pop down from. And then your stop loss is going to be quite wide. I know that I'm looking for that level here to the downside. I would like to see it, okay, I know what. I would like to see it come back down slightly, right, to test along this level, bounce back up, and then push down this way. All right, so what I'll be looking for would be 6.2. So I'm looking for it to test a bit higher, reject. I'll look to sell at 0.62. My stop loss will be about 20 pips. My take profit will be down to about 60 pips to the downside. Okay, so look for it to push down, maybe push down a little bit more, or eventually push up, test and reject. Below 6.2, sell down, 20 pips stop loss. We can do that. Let's do that. 6195. So test and reject 6195, 25 pip stop loss, 55 pip take profit to the downside. So sell 6195, 25 to 55. 6195 stop loss, 25 take profit, 55 to the downside. Okay. Hey, Nuachaku, how you doing? Nuachuku, how you doing? So I'll look for that. Okay, that makes sense. Then onto the Aussie. This came so close. This came so close. Neymar spotted that head and shoulder. Right, we had the head, we had the shoulder, bounce down, neckline, head, bounce down, neckline, shoulder, bounce down. Almost, it broke that level. It broke around at 61.8 level, almost triggered the trade to the downside, but didn't move, that didn't form that head and shoulder to break to the downside. So pattern was there, but did not trigger the setup. Okay, so we take that away. That 61.8 is still going to hold as valid. Right, that 61.8 is still going to hold as valid. I'll keep that there. I like this. Take that away. We've got a bottom. Now, if the dollar does have that big strength to the upside, put that right across. What I'll be looking for is that it breaks this support. It needs to break. See, this level here at 6630 has been holding for a couple of days, right? It's been not that long, but it's been holding for a couple of days from Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Now it's Thursday. I look for it to come down, break that low 6630. We'll look to sell down at 6625. Stop loss is going to be tight. You could even do 15, right? You could even do 15, which would feel a bit generous. Your take profit will be down to 30 towards that support level, right? That swing low that we've seen on the 24th and the 30th of May. So that's what I'll be looking for on the Aussie dollar to the downside. 6625, 15 pip stop loss, 30 pip take profit. Okay, so I'm looking at 6625, very similar to what we saw yesterday. 6625, 15 and 30 to the downside. Then on to the US yen. I'll tell you what I did here. That didn't trigger, so we'll take that away for now. What I did, oh wait, put that back in. All right, was after our session. So this was where we were, right? It pushed up, and then as it pushed back down, this was where I was scalping. No, I was scalping it up. Not on that one. I was scalping a little bit, one trade here, but I was scalping on that move as it pushed back up, right? So I was looking at this area. I was trying to scalp it up and thinking that if it does push up further, I could get to the next trade up and make it almost like a risk-free trade, but that didn't trigger. I was actually trading within this area here from this 155. I think I got 155.90. About there, and I was scalping it up to 156.40. Yeah, around that kind of move. Right, so it's held 60 and 50%, that area, 61.8 and 50% area has held. It tested lower, failed to go. Now we do have that higher low. It's pushing up again on dollar strength. What I would still be looking for would be to buy it up at 156.65. Stop loss 30 pips. Take profit 80 pips to the upside. Or you can go there. You can go 130 with a hesitation at 157.40. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at, 156.65. So breakout of, bless you, breakout of this area, push up 61.8, 156.65, stop loss 30, take profit 130 to the upside. 156.65. Stop loss 30, take profit 130 with a hesitation at 157.40. 157.40. There we go. Okay. Any questions so far? Put it into the chat and let me know. And if you can, remember, do click that like and subscribe button. Now I'm thinking, looking at the US yen, I'm thinking whether it could extend the consolidation a bit more. What I mean by that is whether it could do that, test, and then push this way, or whether it's going to just break out to the upside. But regardless of what happens in here, I think that the trigger of 156.65 is going to be reasonable. All good, thanks for that, Jimmy. Okay, then with that, looking at the pound dollar again. Well, last night was a situation where all came so close to trigger, didn't do anything, only by the uscad. Right, came right down to that 50 level, didn't break that point. This was at 10 o'clock, didn't break that point, didn't trigger that trade to the downside, pushed back up, now sitting along that 1.2794 level. Right, so we were looking for the alternate scenario that it could push up. I would think that I'll give it a bit of a chance. All right, what I mean by that is I think that we could see it sit here for a while, or maybe push back, but I'll look for it to test and reject that resistance to sell down, because we are looking at a lot of dollar strength scenarios or immediate dollar strength scenarios on the Kiwi, on the yen, or on the Aussie, on the yen. I think that if the pound, we give it a chance that we might see some dollar weakness push it up, or some pound strength push it up to that resistance to trigger that, then I'll look to sell down. You know what I'm thinking? Okay, I'll tell you that the scenario first. At 20 pips, then down to this point is 60 to the downside, or 55 to the downside, could continue lower. Right? Okay, I'll put that in because I am thinking now that, look at the euro, right? We were looking for it to test and reject, didn't trigger that trade. We'll take it away for now just to clear up the charts. But I'm just looking and considering the euro being on that trend line. Take that away. What if, let me see, this point makes sense, that trend line makes a bit of sense. That trend line makes a bit of sense there. What if the ECB does not cut rates? What if the ECB does not cut rates? Then we could see this bounce off, this break through the resistance and head further to the upside. Right? As a thought. Because if you look at this, on the 11th of April, where they held rates, on the 11th of April, where is it? There. Okay, no. So that's the 10th, that's the 11th, where they held rates, it didn't do too much, it just sat there. Okay, so it sat there, but it is pricing in that scenario. Okay, so what I'm looking at here is, I was thinking if they don't cut rates, could we see the euro push to the upside? Doesn't seem like it now. If it doesn't cut rates, then we could just see it push back up and consolidate around this point. Still looking to sell it down off that 109 resistance level. So what you would be looking at in this case would be, Neymar is already short on the euro at 108.92. holding to the news. Yes, you can be looking to sell. You could have been early on that. That makes sense. Right, I don't like this just because it's 30 pips. You'll be looking at that. So breaking below this 38.2 level, I would say there, 108.60. I'll tell you that I would be looking to get in early on this, like before the news, take a bit of a risk. But I'll be looking at that 108.60. Stop loss 20, take profit, could go down a good 70 pips to the downside, breaking that trend line. So what it looks like, maybe even very similar to what we saw on the CAD from yesterday. Right, from the US CAD, from the loonie from yesterday, what we could see is that it breaks, it consolidates here, it breaks, it consolidates here, it breaks to the downside, comes close, bounce back up, test that trend line, and then maybe do that again. Okay, so I'll be looking at this 108.60, 20 to 70. I know I haven't updated my pound yet. I'll get to that. I was just thinking of an alternate scenario. I'll be looking to sell this at 1.0870. No, 1.0860, 20 to 70. 1.0860. Stop loss 20, take profit 70 to the downside. This is ECB rates decision. Okay, then back to the pound dollar. It is pushing down, so I don't think we're going to see that. I want to see what happens here. At this point, we'll look for it to sell down. I feel that it's a little bit too late to get in now, so we'll wait a little bit more. At 1.2750, stop loss tight, no more than 20 pips. Take profit, you can do 30, but I would say that if the euro does come down strongly, we could see a pound dollar push to the downside as well, with a good 60 pip move to the downside. Right, so 1.2750, 20 pips to 60 pips to the downside for the pound dollar. Very, very dollar strength bias for the analysis today. So just something to watch out for as well. Okay, 1.2750. 1.2750, stop loss 20, take profit 60 to the downside. Okay, then on to the US Swiss franc. Moved pretty much as we had anticipated. Bounce, look for it to test, reject, and push up. I did a bigger move than we expected to test up and do that. So it would have, if you got onto that trade, you would have lost 20 pips on that, on a stop loss because of the dollar. Take that away for now. I see a question there from Jimmy. With the Eurozone, is German the major player? One of the major players. Germany is one of the major players. I would say that it's hard to say that they're the major player. I think that France would have something to say about that if we called Germany the major player. So I'll say one of the major players. Okay. On the US Swiss franc, take that away because it tested that point. we're looking at that. So what I want to see here is dollar strength. No worries. I don't anticipate dollar weakness. I mean, why I'm sitting here looking at this, I'm just thinking that we're looking at dollar strength right across the board. What if we don't see that dollar strength come around and dollar weakness comes in? I like to continue that trend to the downside, 8875, stop loss 30, take profit a massive 140. I don't think for 140, hang on. About there. 60 pips to the downside. I can go even a bit higher, 8880. I like that number, 888. And the Asians will know why. Okay. 0.888 to sell down, 30 pip stop loss, 70 pip take profit to the downside if we see the dollar weakness continue. Jimmy says my favorite too. I would have guessed. I'll tell you that although we have this set up, it does seem to be a very unlikely scenario. It does seem to be a very unlikely scenario because there is a little bit of an inverted relationship between the euro and the US Swiss franc. So if the euro does weaken all the way down, we're going to see this push back up. But I'm just putting this as the alternate scenario if perhaps they don't cut rates and we see the euro sit there or gain a little bit of strength, we look for this to push down. Okay? And it would be funny. It would be funny if this was the only setup that made money, being 888s. Which comes to the question that, you know, for everyone trading, everyone who's watching, and now anyone who is watching later, with your trades, are you superstitious? Do you get superstitious with your trades? Does that play a factor in your trade? 88808. Let's make it a 88808. Stop loss 30, take profit 70 to the downside. Anyone? Are you superstitious? Not sure if I spelled it right. Are you superstitious when it comes to trading? Okay. Then on to the USCAD. We've done well on that. Jimmy says try not to have the number 4. So what if you got 4 trades open? Yeah, I told another 2 more to make it a 6. So we have that, then we've done that, we'll take that away. That's broken, we'll take that away as well. Sitting at this point, look at that. Shoulder, head, shoulder, break that neckline to the downside, maybe, but I don't want to think about that because I'm thinking that CAD trade balance, no big news. Gas storage, no big change. PMI 63, 65. Looking for this to push up. I would say that if it breaks to the upside, I wouldn't do anything yet. and I'll look for that. So dollar strength to push up 1.3725. Stop loss can be tight at 15 to 20 pips. Take profit at 55. 1.3725. We're looking at 1.3725, stop loss 20, take profit 55 to the upside. Wouldn't do anything here yet because it's still undecided. If it breaks above that trend line, then we look for that further upside move. Alternatively, is that it doesn't break that trend line, then you look for a rejection back down. That's dollar weakness scenario at 1.3705. Stop loss no more than 20. Take profit 40 to the downside. I think that's what we'll be looking for, but I would like a breakout scenario on dollar strength. So we'll look for that. Okay, but there is that opportunity here for the USCAD back down after hitting that trend line. Now, with that, then looking at gold, right? Spiked big to the upside. We're looking for it to trade down and didn't trade down. 23.28, right? Got to, this was where we were yesterday, didn't break 23.28, found a good support and spiked to the upside because firstly dollar traded slightly lower. And any news? Sell off in late May, reclaim, gold could rise if US non-farm disappoints. It's a bit too early to talk about the US non-farm right now. Right, it spiked up. Now, if you look at this major move, this way, we can look at this level at about 50%, which it came close. All right, so now we're looking at this. Push this up here, which is that point there. Test, yes, okay, I'm happy with that. I don't need this level, don't need one of this level. Let's take one of this away. Now we're anticipating dollar strength to come back into play. And if that happens, then we're looking for this to break to the downside. I would say that still a little bit early there. Push down needs to break 23.52. We're looking for a reaction at 23.52. If that big dollar strength comes back into play, we could see a test here. I think what I'm looking for would be for it to trade down towards 23.52. So nothing now, right? Jimmy's looking to buy it from 23.50 up. I'm actually thinking that it could come back down slightly further to 23.36 before we'll see a rebound. Okay. I think a better idea would be not to trade it down, but to look for a bounce off 23.52 or a bounce off 23.36. So I don't like selling gold to the downside. I like to buy it up more often. I think it's a better setup. We're looking for a bounce. Look for bounce at 23.52 or 23 something, 36, 23.38, 38. There we go. Okay, so major news tonight, the ECB with the interest rate decision looking for a cut from 4.5 to 4.25%. If that comes around, I'll be looking for the euro dollar to break below 1.0860 to trade to the downside, looking for 70 pip move lower. With that said, please remember, trade well, trade safe. If you can, do remember to help me out with that like and subscribe. I'll see you all on Discord. If not, then tomorrow, same time, same place. Take care now. Bye-bye.